The topic is Geroscience. I don't know if you heard this word before. It's coming really from the health part of our business. And this is a new concern, a new way to look after aging. Usually, if you talk about health, aging is a lot seen through, disease, problems, and you have different specialists working on all of them. Could be Alzheimer, could be, different part of your body problems. And this approach coming from the World Health Organization is setting new programs all over the world to look at aging, but from a different perspective. So that's what I'm going to try to detail today. So this is the definition of Geroscience. It's that intersection of basic aging biology, chronic disease, and health. We'll give you more details. So it's a kind of scientific description, but that's important. And this is this idea that now with the data mining and all the specialists and knowledge we have all over the world, we can connect all these different people and companies to work together and see how we can, not prevent aging, because we will all age and die, but try to maintain as much as possible the functions of our organs. The two key words are organs. We have different organs in our body, and skin is one of them. So that's why it's interesting for you to listen to that. And all these organs have different functions. And we know that with age, we lose part of the functions of these organs. So how can we maintain, functions of these organs as much as possible? How can we prevent, the way that, they evolve over time? And can we kind of correct it? Can we also not just maintain, but try to find a way to restore the functions of these organs? That's basically the philosophy behind this name. This is the way it is approached. So I would say on the right side, it's really the classical approach, the disease, how it is seen with different areas, different specialists, and all through your life process, you may be in contact with all these people, of course. And now we're trying to connect it with more, I would say, pure science related to biology. And there are more and more technologies, sciences, data. And that's why today it's possible to kind of cross-link them and find a way to have a more global understanding of this. Because all these organs have interactions. Okay, you can look at skin only, but maybe your skin aging process is linked not just to your behavior or your DNA, it can also be linked to other problems in your body. And maybe the different organs in your body will not evolve over time the same way. So that's why it's important to kind of find the interaction, cross-link these different things. So it's very ambitious. It's a huge program. And I will give you a few more details about a study that is in progress worldwide on 27,000 volunteers. So that's a huge, all over the world. So we have a different group of volunteers in US, Europe, Asia, Africa, so that, of course, we can address different type of population. So what is it basically, and how can it be approached? So this, so first of all, I would say there's the green, the blue one. So you have, I would say, 3 different periods in your life. The first one, you're healthy, your body is robust, all your organs are functioning perfectly. It can be renewed. Then you have a kind of transition period when you start to go, and losing and your capacity, and that's beginning of the frailty. And then after some time, you may become dependent, and that's what we know a lot with very old people, especially with people with degenerative disease, which is also a problem. So this is, I would say, the green line would be the ideal form. I would say behavior of your organs in the way it's supposed to evolve. Of course, based on your way of life, different exposures, I would say the way you treat your disease, different factors, you can see that, of course, that this evolution can be really worse than the theoretical one. So that's why we distinguish what we call the age of your passport, on your passport, theoretical one, versus your biological age, because and they can be very different, very, very different. And again, from one organ to another organ, they can also be very. Maybe you can have a beautiful skin, younger than what it could be, but maybe your stomach or your, I don't know, liver or I don't know what, your brain is degrading faster than what it is. So that's really important to see that globally. So the aim of this study is to try to find ways to kind of maintain the function as much as possible, and if possible to try to repair some of the damage done. And this is possible because you have this approach, and this is maybe the future of health. And we know the population is getting older and older. We have more and more elderly people, and that's why it's so important. And there's a huge business, of course, behind that. And you will see that the sponsors behind that very big study are Google. There's also a fund from Saudi Arabia. And I think these people are thinking about, okay, what's coming next after oil, you know? And they believe that maybe the future business for them could be, you know, having clinics, hospitals, finding ways to fight against aging. So it's interesting to see what are the people and company moving into that area. Not just drug companies or pharma company, but also very, very different. And Google also is interesting. I guess they want to collect data and see how maybe they could use that also for the future, networks and connections. So there's a lot of business to do behind that study. So this is just for the theory. I don't know if it's really clear, but that's really a big shift in the way we approach aging. And a lot of papers, if you look at the Lancet journal, about aging as a disease globally, and not just one or the other aspect of aging. So that's important to consider that. So now let's talk about this study that is done globally. So we have one of this population. It's a group of 1,000 people that are in Toulouse. I come from Toulouse. It's in southwestern part of France, and that's the location for France where we conduct this study. And the name of the study is named INSPIRE, Inspire in English. INSPIRE. This is funded by different companies I mentioned, and also by European funds. And we are following a group of 1,000 people from 20-year-old to almost, and people are sometimes older than 80, men and women, over 20 years. So we are on year 5 of the study. So we still have 15 years to go on. So all these people are followed over time. And what is interesting is that with 1,000 people from 20 to 80 plus, you have a lot of samples. And it's interesting also to see how they evolve. And of course, we will try to check how they move from robust health to maybe kind of losing abilities over time. And that's what we do. And we have that ability to collect different samples from these people, volunteers, especially biopsies that are interesting. So like skin biopsies or organ biopsies if possible. And also different questionnaires and samplings and all these different specialists following the different volunteers over time. And see when do they switch to aging. And that's important to see when do they switch, and can we find, I would say, markers that can prevent or predict the day that they switch to the lose of their autonomy, for instance. That's one of or maybe, and of course, over time, we will have more and more data, and we'll, of course, processing all this data, and that's why data processing is going to be key in this way to find solutions. So I will share some of the first results we have after 5 years, which is interesting. It's not completely done. I guess maybe we can have another presentation 15 years from now.
Another conference.
Yeah,
there's so much good material here.
Because there's a lot to do. I'm sorry, I don't have a lot of time, but that's. So here are more details, scientific details, about the biopsies we do. Of course, Pierre-Fabre, we are more interested in the skin because we have dermatology, drugs, and also we deal a lot with skin cancer and also dermocosmetic products. And we look at skin conditions like acne, like psoriasis, dermatitis, other skin problems, hair loss. So we know that's probably linked to timing and aging. So we collect the samples, of course, and out of that, we will, of course, conduct a lot of studies. We call it multi-omics. And we have the ability, we look at the microbiota too. So we have a lot of, we measure hydration. So we have all the classical, data that we use in also skincare clinics. But at the same time, we have the data coming from the biopsies, which is great for us. And that's not something we always conduct for cosmetic products. So maybe this is one of the key results we had. So this is the age here of the volunteers, 20 to, so we have people close to 100 year old. I don't know if they will make it up to 15 more years, but that's part of the experience. And this is what we call proteomic analysis. So we look at the proteins that are emitted during the process because your body renews itself. This is for skin only, of course. Just talking about skin aging in this case. So the color depends. So if it's red, it means that it is overexpressed. If it's blue, it's underexpressed. Okay, and we try to look when it changes. So you see, when you have young people, the mapping is very different from old people. Very easy to see. And that's almost the exact opposite. So the genes here, so that's mostly proteins that are expressed by that's the gene expression of the DNA and the proteins that are expressed. And of course, different functions. I don't want to go into too much detail because it's kind of too much science, maybe too detailed. But at least for you to see that when you're young, your body is very active and the immune system is very strong. And over time, it's more, you go into inflammation. So most of the process is fighting against inflammation.
Look at this top of this line. This is an interesting group, Let's start with blue and go red.
Yeah, it depends on the group are like this. So it's more that's the genes. So the proteins that are emitted during the transcription of the genes. So it's interesting to see. Of course, people are not exactly the same. Okay, this one is different from this one. So that's the difference between one.
Means after 16, no.
Okay, so what is very interesting? So that's so for you to know. So this is 56. So I am over 50. I'm 58. So
me too. I'm also there. But we are at the age.
But that's
there.
Okay. No, yeah, that's the idea. Yeah. So we are not. I mean, it's still okay. But, no, I don't say if it's good or bad, but just this is a way to measure. Because the idea is, can we find biomarkers and see when they appear, when do they shift? Because here you have like hundreds of genes. So the aim of that is to see what are the biomarkers. And we found, for instance, in other groups, people working on Alzheimer's disease, they found some biomarkers that are expressed 7 to 10 years before the disease starts. So it's good for you to know. I don't know if it's good, but
yeah,
because when you see all the problems, it's kind of really late.
Yeah.
We cannot cure at the moment Alzheimer, but at least knowing like 10 years in advance that you may have to face this kind of disease can help you prepare maybe your family or you, and I don't know, whatever, or also try to start some treatment to limit the impact of the disease on your health. That's the idea. So for skin aging could be the same, trying to see what are the biomarkers here that we could find that can be related to, I don't know, lack of firmness or skin conditions, or because some disease also can be, emphasized over time with aging. And that's what we're trying to do here.
As a consumer, can I make, is there a commercial institution where I can do, now in the US there is, they can take your blood or something and tell your biological age.
I mean,
but in Europe,
no, because you need to. It's a biopsy, so you need to. It's really. It's a collect. You have to collect one piece of your skin, and you have to do that. So these people are paid, and they are volunteered, and people follow their skin. So that's so that's really a drug. It's a pharma approach, not a classical cosmetics. Not like measuring skin hydration or wrinkles or like what we do. Okay, it's the arm, and the stone in the. Not on the face.
Sorry, are these individuals?
Yeah, these are the individuals. Because 1, 2, 3. So this one is 20, this one is 21, 20. So they're different individuals.
Okay, but there's one individual.
Yeah, it's like this.
21,
one individual is like this. And this is the proteins expressed by the genes.
Yes. Because you You see a shift at 30, whatever. What is it?
There's something like around 35, 36. There's already some important shift here. We don't know why, because we're not expecting it. This can be related to postmenopausis, things like that. So that's already pretty well known. But this one is kind of very surprising. So don't know what happens here. So that's what we're studying. But there's something that really happens, especially in this area, with these genes here. So why? So it's still under, progress. So we are working on it. Okay, all right. So I mean that's basically it. That's the idea. And this was an example of the way we've started to use it to develop one of our products. But I don't think it's really it's really making sense for you. But as for Aven, and you know that aging is contagious.
No.
Okay, it doesn't mean that you should not kiss your grandma.
Yeah.
Is that idea that in fact that's what we call skin senescence, and that senescence cells, in skin, can contaminate the young cells. That's why I call it contagious. And when you have a young skin, in the genes we've seen before, very few. I mean, I think that's something like 2% of your skin cells are senescent, and the rest is young and healthy. But when you're over 60, you have 60% of your skin cells that are senescent. And it's really, I would say, a vicious circle, because the senescent cells, they contaminate. So this is the young cell, they communicate, and they are really healthy. But when you get old, you have more and more senescent cells. They are not eliminated, so they stay in the skin.